Hello everybody, Fall Off Corner here, and also Fluttershy. Well, today is Christmas, and I wanted to do this yesterday on Christmas Eve, but just I've been so tired, and I'm still trying to recover from being sick and whatnot, and that what we were going to do yesterday, just to, get everybody, at least in a sleeping mood for the big day of Christmas, we wanted to read you guys a story, in which it's one of my favorites. But since I couldn't really, I wasn't really 100%, yesterday, I just thought we would be reading it today. In which right now I'll show you what we're going to read. I got this last week. It's How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. And it's one of my favorites. It's one of the, I think, either the first or one of the very first Christmas books that I've read. And when I was in my school's library when it was Christmas and whatnot. And at least now I have my own version, which, I like the story. I really don't like the cartoon adaptation of it. I like more of the Jim Carrey one. And I haven't gotten to see the new one from Illumination, which, if anything, if I do end up seeing it, I'll probably end up either getting it on a DVD or whatever, and just watching it. Which, I don't know exactly when it would possibly be, like February or whatever, to be coming out. So, without any further delay, let's begin with the book. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please do not Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight, but I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, and they rush for their toys, and then, oh the noise, noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they would feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which is something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos who start singing. They sing and they sing and they sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now, but I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderfully awful idea. I don't know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat. He made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, "If I cannot find a reindeer, I'll make one instead." So he called his dog Max, and then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. The Grinch said, "Gee up," and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first thing to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present, pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. He stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the iceboxes as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I'll stuff up the tree." And then the Grinch grabbed the tree. He started to shove, when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, Cindy Lou Who, who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught with his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. And "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there is a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear, and I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here." His fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. And then he went up to the chimney himself, the old liar. On the walls left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. And then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was quarter past dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up to the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to those Who's, he was grinchishly humming. They'll find out that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, and I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then those Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch. I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And then he puzzled 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And then what happened? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's heart, a small heart, grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel so tight, he whizzed by with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved a roast beast. And that was the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Oh, sorry. So, I'm going to be doing at least another 2 more videos today, hopefully. At least another video, which we'll be doing a Christmas party in a little bit. And also, too, I'll be doing another series, which, if anything, is another, in the Dead Rising, video, which is the Dead Rising 4 that I'm going to be starting to do a series of. So, thank you guys all for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. If you have subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that bell so you get any present and future video messages. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have any suggestions, like maybe if you want me to read more books like this, any suggestions for any videos you want to see in my YouTube channel, or any things at all, make sure you guys write them down in the comment section below. Thank you guys all for watching. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye.